Renew, rebuild, rejoice. This morning we officially launch our capital campaign. The goal is to raise $2.4 million to remodel and restore our campus. After the campaign, our facilities will be updated and refreshed. The building will be greener, the AV system in the sanctuary modernized, and organ restored, the playground redesigned, the website upgraded, the religious education classrooms remodeled. The truth is that there's a lot that's going to be done. The campaign includes 40 different items. The list, the result of the almost Herculean efforts of the facilities team to assess our needs. They spoke with numerous members and much of the staff. They worked with a design company to draw up a new master plan. They held town halls. Then they worked with the stewardship team to survey members and friends and conduct house meetings. All told, more than 100 of you have participated in this process of assessing the needs and priorities of the congregation. It is, more than anything, already a reflection of your commitment to First Unitarian Universalist and our devotion to widening love's circle. And it's because of that commitment that I can announce as we launch our campaign that we have already more than $1 million pledged. Renew, rebuild, rejoice. A few months ago, I preached a sermon on joy. In it, I shared with you a little bit about the word hallelujah. Do you remember? Hallelujah, I offered, is an amalgamation of two Hebrew words. It itself is one of the oldest religious words. It brings together halle, to praise, and jah, signifying God. Hallelujah. Can we say it together? It's a word that's been used to express gratitude in joyful worship for the joy of being alive, for the joy of being together, for the joy of having something to celebrate for 100 generations. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now, God is a bit of a tricky thing for us Unitarian Universalists. Some of us are atheists. Others are religious humanists. Still others are theists, liberal Christians, Buddhists, neo-pagans, Hindus, Muslims, Jews, there's a lot of theological diversity within our religious community. Some of you have trauma from earlier periods in your religious life. The word God can bring up stuff that you prefer would stay in the past. Others find comfort within the phrase. I've always found the Unitarian Universalist theologian Forrest Church's advice on the matter to be rather helpful. He wrote, "God is not God's name." Referring to the highest power we can imagine, God is our name for that which is greater than all and yet present in each. We are all challenged to understand that thing that is greater than all in our own fashion. Some of you might prefer to lift up the goddess or the divine feminine. Others might find comfort in Hebrew conceptions of the divine, Adonai, Eloheinu. Another group might be caught by the 99 names of Allah, Al-Kabir, Al-Hadi, Al-Bari, Al-Fatah, or prefer the Hindu pantheon, Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, Ganesh, Kali, or choose to speak of the stars, the almost impossible miracle of life, the way in which in the dark of the night, lights glitter off the coast as the ocean crashes over sand, or the feeling of connected grounding you sometimes have when, hallelujah. When I use the word, I invite you to understand the jah in your own fashion. Maybe if you don't like the word, Think of Jah as being, or call to mind the awe-inspiring images from the James Webb Space Telescope, countless pinpricks of light awash in prismatic celestial dust. Hallelujah, praise being, hallelujah, praise the stars. Will you say it with me? Hallelujah. Now, I'm trying to bring a bit of joy into the sermon this morning. The launch of the capital campaign should be a joyous event. As near as I can figure, First Unitarian Universalist has held 4 such campaigns during its history. Right around World War I, the congregation bought its first building, a house over at Bagby and Rosalie. Then in 1931, funds were raised to purchase this plot. The board's president at the time, it's interesting to note, was one Dr. Walter L. Cronkite, father of the famous television journalist. A small one-room church was built. It served as a space for worship until the early 1950s, when a campaign was held to build the sanctuary in which we are now gathered, and the rooms that currently house our nursery. The next capital campaign did not take place till the mid-1990s, and it created Channing Hall, the courtyard, and the 2nd and 3rd floor rooms and offices. Each of these 4 campaigns has one thing in common. They all marked new eras of growth and vitality for the congregation. A little more than a decade after the first one, the membership had grown so large that the church building itself was insufficient for services, and so instead of meeting in the sanctuary, the congregation for a time met right down the street in what's now Hotel Zaza. Within a couple of years of moving to this lot, the congregation expanded so much that some religious education classes had to be moved off-site until the building could be expanded. After the sanctuary and old religious education wing were constructed in the 1950s, membership surged to its highest level ever. More than 800 people belonged to the congregation, and a second Unitarian Universalist community, Emerson, was started to accommodate all of the people who were coming for our liberating message of love, joy, and justice. The years after the campaign in the 1990s saw the greatest period of membership growth after the early 1950s. Renew, rebuild, rejoice. Hallelujah. Capital campaigns are about the future. They come because we cast a vision of what could be. We could have a fresh new playground. We could have a green building. We could have an even more beautiful sanctuary where the screen does not buzz as it comes up and down. We could, here at First Unitarian Universalist, we've started speaking of our vision of widening love's circle. The phrase is at least partially inspired by the Universalist poet Edwin Markham. He wrote, "He drew a circle that shut me in, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We build a circle that drew him in." But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. The space we create together is a physical manifestation of our intention to widen love's circle. An attractive, welcoming building offers an inviting space for visitors. It communicates that the congregation is investing in its future and intent on thriving into the next years. It also suggests that we are devoted to being a resource for the wider community by providing a location here in the heart of Houston's cultural district where organizations and groups devoted to the common good can rent space and further their own missions. Our mission statement names our desire to be a pillar congregation for Houstonians of many faiths and build the beloved community. Tending to our physical plant, not just for ourselves, but as a resource for the wider community, is one way that we do that. You might not know it, but in addition to our own congregation, our campus provides a place for a synagogue, several support groups for domestic abuse survivors, and a daycare. And that's just the regular weekday renters. Numerous other community groups rent from us on an occasional basis. Over our long history, we've used our facilities to serve as an incubator for other significant Houston institutions. Both the Houston Zen Center and Hatch Youth, Houston's oldest program devoted to empowering LGBTQ+ youth, started out on our grounds. Reverend Cooper and I have often spoken about the ways in which the state of Texas is governed by what appear to be the politics of cruelty. Almost every week, I'm shocked by what seems to be narrowing of the state's political vision. In the place of the common good and the compassionate heart, there are those who seem ever ready to uplift private gain and inhumanity. Rather than concern for the future, what world will we leave for the next generations, they seem to be committed to maximizing the wealth of the wealthy today. Inhabiting my scholarly role for a moment, I think we can go so far as to say that we live in an illiberal state. Illiberalism is the political practice in which the reform of liberal democracy is retained, but it's stripped of its actual content. In an illiberal society, there are elections, and there are laws, and there are courts, all of the trappings of liberal democracy, but there is little respect for political minorities or human rights. One party holds power and does all it can to game the system to ensure that its grip is unfaltering. Opposition's strongholds are undermined through legalistic ploys, and here I have to admit that I am thinking of TEA's takeover of HISD. It increasingly seems to be a prelude to a plan on the state's level to destroy public education in the name of school choice. Practitioners of the dominant religion seek to inflict their moral vision, however limited it might be, on the rest of society. In Texas, that means that evangelical understandings of human sexuality are imposed upon the rest of us. Women are stripped of their reproductive rights and prevented from accessing health care. LGBTQ+ communities are legally marginalized and targeted. Books are banned. Love's circle is not widened, it's contracted. We Unitarian Universalists have long held a different vision. If my ministry with you has had a thesis statement, it is that strong Unitarian Universalist communities have the power to change the world. At our very best, congregations do more than just provide spaces for deepening spirituality, growing fellowship, or increasing connection to community. At their very best, our congregations actually transform society. Our first reading this morning was meant to lift up that potential. In the early part of the 20th century, the community church in New York was one of the most important institutions in the United States. You'll note that I did not just add the adjective religious to that statement. Yes, the congregation was noted for its powerful, theologically innovative, and spiritually stirring services. A few thousand people flocked each week to hear inspiring sermons and uplifting music. People like Pete Seeger joined. Leaders like W.E. Du Bois spoke. The free spirit, as the congregation's senior minister John Haynes Holmes named it, was palpable, and the spirit of love incarnate in human fellowship could be felt. But more than that, the congregation was devoted to the prospect of building the beloved community for all of humanity. It took as its purpose dedication to a better life in this world, and the construction of the cooperative commonwealth. And with that purpose, that mission, its members provided the physical space and much of the initial organizing impetus for two of the most important civil rights organizations of our time. The ACLU and NAACP were both founded within the walls of Community Church, and much of the money and initial leadership of those organizations came from the people who attended the congregation's services. Widening love's circle. Think on that for a moment. What would the world be like without either the ACLU or the NAACP? How much good have they brought into the world? Renew, rebuild, rejoice. Hallelujah. In contrast to the politics of cruelty, our tradition offers a space for religious pluralism, for many understandings of that word, hallelujah, and in what I sometimes name the resurrection of the living, the waking up to the world as it is, the proposition that there is power and joy to be found within the potential of human goodness. A call, as the Unitarian Universalist poet Antea Danner puts it, to breathe together. A conspiracy dancing, a dance of need and met need, request and offering, feeding each other. The holy vision that she offers us is a call to reject the politics of cruelty and build a more beautiful world. Is not our vision found in words like, what if we open the airways? What if we unblock and unbind, unfetter the hands that feed us? A conspiracy dancing. It is our task to be the kind of congregation that widens love's circle rather than contracts it. In our times, this is no easy labor. It's hard to proclaim the power of love or the potential of a more beautiful world when the spiteful reign and seek to mar Earth's glorious sphere. It's difficult to be a space for embracing all when our society seems ever more divided and so many communities strive to be more exclusive than inclusive. But our tradition calls us on. Here, I cannot help but be reminded of some of the most famous words ever offered in Houston. You probably know them. They were uttered by John F. Kennedy right down the street in Rice's Stadium as he sought to inspire stellar exploration. He told the gathered crowd, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. We choose to do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard." Our endeavor is, of course, nothing of that scale, but it is not easy to widen love's circle in a society where some wage a war on woke, nor is it easy to build and sustain the kind of religious institution that can help us grow our souls and bring more beauty into the world. But this is the task that we have collectively taken up together. It is the task that we have set for ourselves in this capital campaign. It is the task that we invite each other into this morning and every morning when we gather. 4 times our congregation has taken up a major capital campaign. 4 times the campaign has led to growth, dynamism, and helped to build a community that not only serves its members, but the wider Houston community. Today, we embark on a 5th such effort. It might be hard. Raising $2.4 million is not a simple task, even if we already have over $1 million committed. But I am confident we can do it, and in doing so, further live into our charge to widen love's circle. Renew, rebuild, rejoice, and hallelujah.